What I would like to have is some sound dampening panels. What I do have is some trash. I'm not convinced these two things are mutually exclusive. For this little experiment, I'm going to use a few things. Cardboard and packing peanuts, as well as other styrofoam if necessary to make the panels themselves, and then some wood to be able to frame and mount the panels, for some of them. I have a few different design concepts for these. Now, I have no idea if this will make any difference whatsoever, but I like making stuff, and it should at least be a fun project. I order a lot of things for this channel, as well as just things in general, and I have quite a collection of packing materials. Like styrofoam and cardboard that I've been saving for a very long time and don't want to waste. If I ever need to ship things, I can reuse a lot of them, but I have other ideas as well. This is one such idea. A bit of a little old scheme to make some, hopefully, sound dampening panels. And I'm going to do a few now. So for one of them, I'm not going to mount anything. I think I can just kind of lay it against the window back here. Not that I'm trying to cover up the blinds. Don't look at this! The blinds are fine. And then the other panels will be smaller, a little more involved, and I'll be mounting those to the walls and ceiling. Though I'm not sure if covering the hideous blinds with something that might be even more hideous is much of a plan, but we shall see. First, the extremely painstakingly tedious task of blending styrofoam. Yes, blending a ton of styrofoam. If you ever lose your mind and find yourself blending a large amount of styrofoam, I recommend wearing a mask. It starts kicking off a lot of dust after a while. But the blender does do a pretty solid job of grinding this down into some fine molecules. And like I said, I have a lot of packing peanuts and styrofoam. One of the workstations I bought a while ago had no other packing materials. It was just full of packing peanuts. When they're blended up, they do amount to quite a lot. And that's just some of the peanuts I have. On top of that, I have other packages and other types of styrofoam as well. Like I said, I've been saving this stuff up for years. Next is cardboard and a lot of glue. We'll go into some more detail for the different panels, but the basic concept is this. I'm going to spread some glue over a piece of cardboard, just a thin layer. Then I will coat the glue with styrofoam particles, and repeat several times over, with several layers of cardboard, glue, and foam for each panel. Now the edges on some of these panels won't be perfectly aligned, but that's alright, because when it's done, I do have a kind of cover I'm going to put on the front. The glue I'm using is just this sort of basic Elmer's glue. I bought a couple of these gallon-esque size containers of it. I'm not sure if it's exactly a gallon or not. And even those weren't horribly expensive, just like a few dollars a piece. In addition to the glue, the panels will eventually be kind of bound together, which will help to keep everything in one piece and to keep the styrofoam particles inside. Here's the first one I'm making, a larger panel to kind of sit against the window. After several alternating layers of cardboard and blended styrofoam, as well as some glue and screws to hold it together, I'm going to cover the front of this panel with some other material that I have. For this one specifically, I have a foam sleeping pad that I was going to throw out. It does have a kind of concave pattern, so maybe that'll help, even if it's not a significant difference. Anyway, I'm going to use that as a cover. Now, Now, hindsight being 2020, I probably used way too much glue on this first panel. Not only did it make quite a mess, but it's somewhat heavy now. Even though I didn't plan on making a wooden frame for this one, I think I'm going to have to. I thought it would be a light, fluffy, mostly foam panel, but not so much. So I'm going to run a couple pieces of wood vertically across the back for support. And I'm using drywall screws just to attach the panel to the wood, which should be a pretty effective choice for this type of material. Note to self, less glue, more styrofoam. I can then attach the foam to the panel using a stronger adhesive, just for this part. To finish it off, I'm just going to spray paint the entire panel, so hopefully it doesn't look like the trash that it's made of. This is the mostly complete panel for the window. Once it's painted, it should be able to take its place in front of the perfectly fine blinds. Now I'm going to move on to a few more smaller panels with a bit of a different approach. Since I intend to mount these smaller panels to the walls and ceiling, it's going to require a kind of frame of sorts. This frame will be made out of wood and designed so that I can screw the wood directly into the studs of the wall. So after cutting a bunch of cardboard squares to size, going through a similar process as the last panel with alternating layers of material, using less glue and more styrofoam, I need to build the frame. I'm going to use 2 pieces of wood vertically across the back, and the panel will screw into these. These are the pieces of trim that will mount directly to the studs. A few screws will go through the panel itself into this wood. This method allows me to make the panel larger than the width of the studs without having to run screws through the entire thing to keep the whole fixture on the wall. I'm going to create multiple smaller panels similar to this to mount on the walls and ceiling. And as far as the front of these, I do still have some excess material from the foam pad, so I'm cutting pieces for these as well. Once again, this foam panel will be spray painted, glued to the panel, and will cover everything behind it. I will be running low on this material though, so as I continue making panels, I'll have to get more creative for the fronts. I have a lot more styrofoam and cardboard, as well as a few more ideas for how to construct these. So as I create more panels, I'll probably post updates if anyone's interested. But that'll be all for this video, so as always, thank you for watching.